Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together to welcome Honorable Chief Guest, Shri Piyush Goyalji, Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. Also welcoming on stage, Mr. Harshavardhan Agarwal, President FICCI and Managing Director, Imami Limited. Welcoming Mr. Anand Goenka, President-elect FICCI and Vice Chairman, RPG Group. Mr. Vijay Shankar, Vice President FICCI and Chairman, the Sanmar Group, and Ms. Jyoti Vij, Director General FICCI. Namaskar and good morning. Honorable Chief Guest, Shri Piyush Goyalji, Honorable Minister for Commerce and Industry, Government of India. Esteemed dignitaries on the dais, esteemed members of FICCI's Executive Committee, distinguished past presidents, industry captains, distinguished guests, respected members of the press and media, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor to welcome you to the curtain raiser of the 98th Annual General Meeting and Annual Convention of FICCI, India's apex chamber of commerce and industry, where legacy meets leadership and vision meets action. The 98th AGM marks nearly a century of FICCI's commitment to nation building. This year's theme, India, Self-Reliant Economic Powerhouse, reflects our collective aspirations to shape the next quarter century with India's journey of self-reliance under the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Today we are honored to have with us the august presence of Shri Piyush Goyalji, Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, a leader whose vision, energy and intellect have redefined India's economic diplomacy and industrial growth. Honorable Minister's leadership has been instrumental in driving India's export surge, empowering the MSMEs and positioning India as a trusted global partner. Under his dynamic leadership, India's economic narrative is just not about numbers. It is about self-reliance, sustainability, and global leadership, championing the spirit of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Under the Honorable Minister's stewardship, self-reliance has become a springboard for global leadership, and India stands tall as an economic powerhouse. I would now request Mr. Harshavardhan Agarwalji, President FICCI, to kindly welcome and honor Shri Piyush Goyalji with the Green Certificate. The Green Certificate is a FICCI initiative wherein 21 trees will be planted at Ram Bhumi, Ayodhya, in the name of the Honorable Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, as we gather to unveil the vision and momentum behind FICCI's 98th AGM and Annual Convention, may I now invite Mr. Harshavardhan Agarwal, President FICCI, to deliver the opening remarks. Let's put our hands together to welcome sir.
Honorable Shri Piyush Goyalji, members of FICCI Presidium, Shri Anand Goenka, Mr. Vijay Shankar, Ms. Jyoti Vij, past presidents of FICCI, distinguished industry leaders, and friends from the media, a very, very good afternoon to all of you. It's my honor and privilege to extend a warm welcome to Honorable Shri Piyush Goyalji at this curtain raiser to FICCI's 90th Annual General Meeting and Annual Convention. Your gracious acceptance to be with us today exemplifies the personal commitment, warmth, and steadfast support you have always extended to FICCI and Indian industry as a whole. Sir, we deeply appreciate it. So you have often emphasized that India's entrepreneurs are nation builders and that a self-reliant, future-ready India will be shaped by the collective energy of government and industry. This belief lies at the heart of our theme this year, India, Self-Reliant Powerhouse. We meet at a defining moment. India continues to grow at above 7%, the fastest among major economies, contributing nearly one-sixth of global growth. But what makes this phase transformative is that India's progress is increasingly driven by domestic capability creation built on policy, stability, and confidence. Under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, initiatives such as Made in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, and the production-linked incentive schemes have catalyzed a structural shift. A decade ago, India imported 75% of its mobile phone. Today, imports are virtually negligible, and India is the world's second largest producer. The defense sector has achieved 1.5 lakh crore in production this year, a threefold rise in a decade, while defense exports stands at 24,000 crore in 24-25, nearly a 35-fold increase in a decade. Even in energy security, we have achieved 20% ethanol blending, up from just 1.5 in 2014, with cumulative foreign exchange savings exceeding 1 lakh crore over the last decade. Solar module manufacturing capacity has surged from 3 gigawatt in 2014 to over 75 gigawatt in 2025, dramatically reducing import dependency. From toy manufacturing, where imports have dropped by 70%, to pharmaceutical ingredients, we are dismantling import dependencies sector by sector. Sir, under your guidance, India's trade engagement has undergone a major transformation. India has concluded landmark FTAs with the UK, EFTA, UAE, and Australia, while major agreements with the US, EU, New Zealand, Peru, and Chile are nearing closure, strengthening India's trade position with clarity, confidence, and conviction. We welcome the implementation of Export Promotion Mission and additional funds for the Credit Guarantee Scheme for exporters, which will help in accelerating India's export growth. At the same time, we recognize the distance still to travel in semiconductors, critical minerals, and advanced manufacturing. A pivotal area is innovation. India today spends about 0.7% of GDP on R&D, far below advanced economies. Our government's prudent action through the National Research Foundation semiconductor and AI missions and deep tech investment can significantly raise this number. If India moves its R&D spends to even 1.5% of GDP, we will shift from being investment-led to innovation-led, a precondition for Viksit Bharat. The Sanskrit saying, Swavalambam Param Sukham, self-reliance is the greatest joy, captures this moment perfectly. India's progress today is just not about growth, it's all about self-belief, self-confidence, and self-sufficiency. As FICCI enters its 98th year, we reaffirm our commitment to partner with the government in accelerating domestic capabilities, building global competitiveness, and strengthening India's position as a trusted and resilient economic powerhouse. Sir, industry deeply values your leadership and your personal engagement with exporters, manufacturers, and MSMEs. Your guidance has always helped resolve challenges swiftly and strengthen industry confidence even in uncertain global times. With this words, sir, it is an honor to once again welcome you and invite you to address this gathering. Namaskar. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed, sir, for those insightful opening remarks, setting the tone for the 98th AGM and the annual convention. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I have the proud privilege in inviting Honorable Chief Guest, Shri Piyush Goyal ji, to kindly address the August gathering. Let's put our hands together to welcome Honorable Minister, sir.
Thank you very much. My good friend Harshvardhan Agarwal ji, President of FICCI, incoming President, my friend's son, Anant Goenka ji, But why should I say that? Shouldn't I just say my good friend? I'd probably become 20 years younger. Shri Vijay Sankarji, Vice President, Ms. Jyoti Vij, all the senior leadership of FICCI. After a long time, I'm meeting so many ex-presidents at one time. All the distinguished participants who have assembled here at the curtain raiser for the 98th AGM. Friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. Truly delighted to participate with all of you at this very, very important juncture that the world is going through, to be able to share some thoughts, to be able to take back some good memories, some good learnings. And one cannot deny that FICCI has played one of the most important roles right since the last 98 years in India's journey of independence. In fact, while we are now the fourth largest economy in the world, by the time you will complete 100 years, we should become the third largest economy. And what a wonderful coincidence that would be. But it can only happen if everybody participates in giving that last push. We are missing Piyush Pandey, but if I remember correctly, there was an ad that he had made. Ek dhakka. Huh? Kiska tha? There was one ad that he had made, which was a beautiful ad. Just the last push. And the next 2 years are going to be very critical in that respect, that we all go with full confidence, give that mojo into the system to ensure that we don't miss our 2027 tryst with destiny to become the third largest $5 trillion economy. Friends, FICCI's legacy is long, and it's not just been about the economy or even as a trade organization only. FICCI was in fact encouraged by Mahatma Gandhi, and the whole idea of creating FICCI as a federation of many smaller chambers of commerce and industry originally came from the father of the nation. And you cannot ask for a better legacy than Mahatma Gandhi ji suggesting that we create FICCI. And when he advised that we form FICCI, or he advised the then leaders of Indian industry, or supported the formation, he believed that this will not just be a commerce or industry organization. He gave a clarion call for FICCI to play an important role in economic nationalism. At that point of time, we were not an independent country. He recognized the importance of the economy for any nation. He also understood the damage foreign goods had done to India. We all know the story of how Manchester mills were supported by killing Indian entrepreneurship, killing Indian production bases in the textile sector. And Mahatma Gandhi used to look up to FICCI as a symbol of economic nationalism. In fact, ever since your inception, I think self-reliance has been a very important, Atmanirbharta has been a very important element of whatever FICCI has been advocating, whatever FICCI stands for. And in the last 100 years, we have seen this journey move from the original founding principles of economic nationalism to making FICCI a very, very important partner in nation building. And I'd like to compliment all of you for the wonderful role you all have played over the years to make India an industrial powerhouse. If one was to look at how the journey of the last 98 years has progressed, one only needs to see the size and scale of FICCI's own engagement today. There were 250 organizations whose federation you are. You represent about 250 organizations. You have about 250,000 companies across the country whose voice FICCI has become. You have partnerships with several or international federations and chambers across the world. And my own sense is this journey over the last 98 years has brought you to a pole position where you can influence the thought process, the thought leadership of industry across the country through this network, through greater participation of this whole network, not just what we do and discuss in Delhi, but becoming the voice of the nation in the remotest parts of the country, where one or two of your members also can seed the vision of Viksit Bharat 2047 in that local area where you operate. So there may be remote corners of the country, we may not even have a chamber of commerce there. But 2 or 3 well-meaning people can make a difference and help generate that feeling, that confidence, that enthusiasm for Viksit Bharat, which I believe we are all collectively committed to make India by 2047. I'd like to place on record my deep appreciation of the good work, Harshvardhan, you have done over the last 1 year. I've had the privilege of attending many of your programs. Congratulations. A very good tenure, good leadership, provided vision to the organization. One of his biggest contributions is getting some of the leadership jogging back into action and activity level of FICCI becoming much bigger. Many, many more in foreign delegations, I think, than ever before. A lot more participation in by serious thinkers in the FICCI programs. In fact, I don't know if you are aware, he writes very good op-eds, which I enjoy reading. And I wish you continue to do that. You really write, you articulate your thoughts very well. You present the India story beautifully. And it's a great encouragement to read your op-eds. Please do continue that. Warm welcome to you, Anand, for the role you are stepping into. It is challenging times globally. Lots of turbulence, lots of uncertainties. But that's when the true mettle of a man comes out. So I think it's a great opportunity that has presented itself to you. And I'm sure you'll do it with great honor. My best wishes to you. I think if one was to look at what the India story would mean if we have to become a developed nation by 2047, there would be 4 broad dimensions on which we will all have to focus our energies. towards, in the Amrit Kal, towards Viksit Bharat. One is, can we make India a domestic manufacturing industrial hub? How much we can do to promote domestic manufacturing, industrialization, self-reliance in goods that can be made in India competitively. I do understand that there will be many products where we may not really be, end of the day, competitive. And then Michael Porter's theory may come into action, and we may be okay to get a few products from outside the country where we really don't have the economic scale, latest technology or capability as yet. I do hope we can develop it in the years ahead. But this comes with a caveat. We have to assess our supply chains, and I would urge each one of you and the 250,000 members to assess your supply chains for vulnerabilities. Assess your supply chains of the future and see whether you are overtly dependent on any one geography or one supplier, one or two suppliers. Is there a concentration of dependence which can hurt your production capabilities? And in this day and age when trade is sought to be weaponized, and we've all experienced it, we really need to be extremely cautious and conscious in whatever field we are in. And I would think that the pharma industry would be very, very vulnerable for its KSMs or APIs. We as a nation, if we were to assess, would be vulnerable for our dependency for aircrafts or aircraft engines or aircraft maintenance. COVID was a wake-up call for all of us. And I do think making India a global manufacturing hub would be very high on the agenda of Indian industry. Second, can we look at converting the millennia children, the Amrit generation as we call them, all the kids born after 2000, into a skilled workforce, talented, skilled workforce of consequence? There's huge demand for good people. In fact, when people talk about unemployment, and for that matter, there's something that we are not talking today, but if I remember correctly, in my college days, we used to discuss that India is not plagued as much by unemployment as underemployment. And the only solution to address this challenge of underemployment is skilling our workforce. But skilling them in the right direction. Not just making everybody a job seeker or a person looking for a white-collar job. In fact, the Mittelstand model of Germany would be a brilliant proposition to bring to India. Considering that in Germany, a skilled worker trained on the shop floor of a plant gets a higher salary than possibly an engineer from their engineering colleges. Because the skill is very valuable. A trained welder, somebody who's just very, very high performance welder, or a good electrician who doesn't have a chalta hai approach, a good mason who doesn't leave the wall 3 mm unaligned and say, how does 3 mm matter? Little realizing that in this day and age, that precision will help the modular furniture that comes in there to fit in well and not leave a vulnerability towards in the future. Every small aspect, precision thinking comes out of developing the skills of our youth. That mindset change towards becoming more and more qualified, not by degrees, qualified by performance, by training. will help us create that skilled workforce that India really requires, very importantly. The third dimension, if we have to become a developed nation by 2047, would be to create an investment-friendly ecosystem, which is what Prime Minister Modi always talks about, focuses on ease of doing business, how can we remove the bottlenecks, how can we get government out of your life, how can we deregulate as much as we can, reduce the compliance burden, decriminalize onerous laws, eliminate obsolete laws. For that matter, today afternoon at 3 o'clock, I'm sitting down with the stakeholders from the investment community to discuss what more we can do to make foreign direct investment and foreign institutional investment, both FDI and FII investments, faster, smoother, more efficient. And my belief is that when we see greater flows of forex coming into the country on investment, clearly it will lead to job creation, clearly it will bring in new technologies, clearly it will bring in R&D and innovation into the country. It will bring in modern technologies, defense manufacturing, security systems. Also, greater stability to our currency, help reduce inflation further. Of course, this month is a remarkable low, but one has to plan for a longer period of time. And we do need to see policy certainty, we do need to see stable currency, we do need to see confidence in investors about the entire investment ecosystem. And that would be an important element of creating that investment-friendly ecosystem in our journey in the Amrit Kal towards Viksit Bharat. And the fourth dimension would, of course, center around technology. Can we get cutting-edge technologies into the country? Of course, whether it's artificial intelligence, quantum computing, machine learning, all of these is going to need talent. And India producing 2.3 million STEM graduates every year, with so much happening in terms of setting up of GCCs in the country, global capability centers. So much happening in terms of government support to promote our startups, to promote our innovation ecosystem. We've just come out with the guidelines of the 100,000 crore, $12 billion Research, Development and Innovation Fund, RDI fund. And by the way, I've often said this at the cost of repetition, the $12 billion that the government puts in, supplemented with private sector investment, supplemented with our high talent in the academia, our universities, our engineering colleges, our science colleges, the skill of our people, and the investments that we are encouraging from across the world, sometimes as part of FTA, Switzerland case in point, the EFTA, four-nation EFTA case in point, who've committed a $100 billion investment. If you see that $12 billion RDI fund in this context, it can actually seed with a big multiplier impact, a much larger innovation and technology ecosystem in the country. Because ultimately, India's costs on a purchasing power parity are much lower than Europe or America for that matter. So what you can do for $12 billion of government seed money with all the other elements thrown in is comparable probably to $100 or $150 billion of innovation being done in Europe or America. And if you look at it in that context, India can play a leadership role in the coming years on innovation, on technology. The world recognizes it. I'm not so sure how much we have appreciated it. The world is trying to get our talent. The world wants to come here, design in India, innovate in India, and take back the innovation. We need to get into the act. Indian industry needs to focus on this. Without wanting to be at all, without wanting to say anything which you don't like, or please don't misunderstand what I'm trying to say, but we need to get out of our comfort zone. We need to be willing to explore the unknown a little more. And if each one of your 250,000 members thinks about innovation, big or small, in his or her own way, its own way, every organization has capabilities to innovate, to change business processes, technology levels, way of working, way of providing service. There's always scope. We can actually have a revolution around the country on industrial growth and bring innovation at the highest cutting edge level to India. Of course, with these 4 dimensions, there's one overarching theme which we can never lose sight of in today's day and age, and that is national security. We have seen the very unfortunate incident that happened in Kashmir, where a police station, there was a accident and we lost many lives. We had the dastardly terrorist attack at Red Fort in Delhi, which I condemn, as do all of you. It's really a very, very sad attack. I pray for the soul of those who have passed away and hope the families take it, are able to bear this irreparable loss. But it's again a wake-up call for all of us. Because it's probably the last-ditch effort that these terrorists or our neighboring country is doing to try and hurt the Indian economy. India has always shown resilience, whether it was the Mumbai bomb blasts or any other terrorist incident. We got back into action with greater vigor, but also with caution, precaution and care. When we are entering a hotel or entering any place, if the security stops you, I think instead of being rude to him, I'm talking of a very small point, just to tell you how important everybody's role will be. Or to tell him, as we often hear, and my ilk is very sadly all politicians are worse off on that score. Jante nahi ho main kaun hu. But we'll all have to collectively be conscious. Our factories, vulnerable. Precaution. Our technology backbone, our internet systems, our computer systems, our back-end digital technologies, vulnerable. Cyber security is going to become more and more important. As much as we are working towards ensuring safe and secure India, we'll have to be conscious about our technology backbone also. And therefore, this overarching dimension of creating a secure India, a big umbrella of security on the nation, is extremely important. In fact, Mr. Amit Shah, and just to be clear, I'm standing in for Amit Bhai today. You'll very much appreciate that there's a government formation in process in Bihar after a stupendous victory. he was unable to come, so I got a little late. My apologies, but I was flying in from Mumbai, and by the time I landed in Delhi, it was already half an hour beyond schedule. But look at the wonderful work that he's done. There are a few incidents, let's say in Kashmir, but you have to juxtapose it to the situation 10 years ago and see the dramatic reduction. Have you heard of a single stone pelting incident in the last 6-7 years? Single, or 10 years? Any stone pelting incident after 5th of August 2019, the golden day when really Kashmir became a part of India, became an integral part of India? Not one incident. And before that, even the police and the armed forces were vulnerable and helpless because their hands were tied and they had to protect the nation. Look at Naxal activities. We all know, and many of us, you come from East India, you have factories in East India. Many of you work across the nation. We had over 150 districts where Naxal activities were very, very strong, where you literally had no development. Those people were living in abject poverty, with hardly any infrastructure, with hardly any future for their children. No education, no health care, no roof over their head. Pathetic conditions. But under the whole area upon area were influenced by Naxalism. Prime Minister Modi decided enough is enough. We've got to get rid of Naxalism. And from over 150 districts, we are down to barely a dozen. And this few will also be finished by 31st March. Another 4.5 months, friends, there will be nobody, no part of India affected by Naxalism. That's the courage of conviction Prime Minister Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah have. They take bold targets, bold decisions, and then follow it through to the end. That's politics of performance. That's good governance. And that is what the people of Maharashtra, with an overwhelming majority for us, people of Haryana, unprecedented vote and majority for the BJP, people of Delhi, getting relief after over a decade of misgovernance and corruption, the people of Bihar. I don't think any of us, frankly, I didn't expect 200 seats. But Mr. Amit Shah did. And tongue-in-cheek, you would say, the damn thing looks so good, the result is going to be very good. But do I say it publicly? So he stuck to 160. But when I met him in Patna just before the election, the first phase of the election, you could see the confidence. And that confidence came out of performance. We have done some good. Who had ever imagined that a state where government after government kept the people deprived because they believed that if the people become well-to-do, if the people start having electricity in their home, having water in their home, having television sets or digital connectivity and smartphones, they'll start aspiring for more. Better to keep them poor. That was the politics at one point of time that the Congress or the RJD type parties indulged in. Keep the people deprived and poor so they don't know what's better for them. And what did Prime Minister Modi do? Inform them of the good things of the world so that every child born in this country is aspirational, is working towards a better future for his family and his children. Build up that drive, that fire in the belly to get the best out of every Indian. And I think that is the critical difference between the old age thinking and today's India, where good economics makes for good politics and performance is rewarded. After all, This is the third term of Prime Minister Modi. And we all know how difficult it is for a party in power to overcome anti-incumbency. But you can see state after state across the country where for years people have expressed their satisfaction and confidence in the leadership of Prime Minister Modi and the way he has led from the front to make India secure, to make India an economic powerhouse. And if one was to assess what is the difference between before 2014 and after 2014, I can give you all the statistical numbers, all the fragile 5 to top 5, the macroeconomic fundamentals, the way banking has evolved, the way inflation has been kept under leash, the way growth has been a focus, deficits have reduced, COVID was tackled. I can give you a lot about all the good work that's happened. But if I was to summarize the performance which the nation has experienced, this journey moved from Virasat to Vikas and then Vishwas. For our foreign guests, there was a sense of entitlement. There's literally family-led politics. And we have no objection to somebody from a political family getting into politics, but on his own merits, on his own steam, through performance, not as an entitlement. There was years and years of politics of entitlement, what we call Virasat. And post 14, we saw that move to politics of development. And in his third term, Prime Minister Modi has got the trust of the people. And it's the politics of trust that is powering India towards becoming a developed nation. We came out with the Jan Vishwas bill, and now we've brought out a second version. And just as a piece of good news, we've already readied a third version of Jan Vishwas, which is decriminalizing all the provisions of law wherever we can to make life easier for businesses and the common man. And it's a two-way trust. It is because the government and Mr. Modi trust the people and the businesses of India. And the people trust Prime Minister Modi that this is possible. When you have a two-way confidence in each other, Vishwas, that is what defines India today and helps us become the world's fastest growing large economy. Has helped us to take 25, 27 crore people out of abject poverty, extreme poverty in the last 11, 12 years. That is what has powered us to become from the 11th largest to the 4th largest economy. Well on track to become the 3rd largest, well on track to become from a 4 trillion economy today to a 30 to $35 trillion economy. All of this is possible on 3 pillars. The pillar of Atmanirbharta, self-reliance. The pillar of Atma Vishwas, self-confidence. And the pillar of Atma Sanman, where we have confidence, self-respect. Because today when we deal with the rest of the world, we deal from a position of strength. We deal with confidence. We work with the recognition that we have the power of 1.4 billion Indians behind us. ये 140 करोड़ भारतवासियों का की क्षमता है और उनकी ताकत है जो हमारा भी हौसला बुलंद करती है कि हमको भी आगे तेज गति से देश को लेकर जाने के लिए हिम्मत देती है, बड़े लक्ष्य की तरफ तेजी से जाने के लिए हम सब में आज वो आत्मविश्वास है, हम सब में आज वो आत्मनिर्भर होने की का जुनून है और हम सब में वो आज आत्मसम्मान है कि हम किसी के सामने झुकेंगे नहीं. That defines the India of 2025. And friends, it's a critical moment in history where the world is going through very volatile times, very uncertain times, full of challenges, full of ambiguities. In this VUCA world, India is an oasis in the desert. India provides stability, provides an ecosystem of prosperity, of growth, of unity, unity in our diversity. India does FTAs with developed nations with confidence because we know we can compete with them. We complement the work that's happening in developed nations with the work that India is doing, which creates for a win-win situation for both parties, both stakeholders. We are today working towards inclusive and sustainable growth, where growth cannot be the power or the fulfillment of a few people's desires, where 140 crore Indians, 1.4 billion Indians will enjoy the fruits of development. And we are a conscious, responsible global citizen. And therefore, sustainability is at the core of our development imperatives, of our growth and our performance. It's not because somebody else told us any inconvenient truth. It's not because some other country or nation told us you have to be sustainable. Sustainability is at the core of India's thinking. It's at the core of the way we've all lived and been brought up. Every Indian is conscious of waste. Every Indian respects and recognizes the importance of nature. So much so that probably India, through ancient texts, recognized the energy and power of the sun far, far, far before anybody else could even imagine that there is something like solar energy. And friends, together we can do wonders. If we all take it upon our shoulders that we are going to really work together as a team to make India a developed and prosperous nation by 2047, I think no power on earth can stop us. And let me make an offer. On our part, as government, we'll focus on 5 elements. FICCI, FICCI. We'll focus on fiscal discipline and build a strong foundation, the macroeconomic foundation. We'll give you the enablers. We'll bring a deep focus on innovation, building up the culture of research, of development, indigenous capabilities in that. We'll provide connectivity and critical infrastructure that's required. We'll give you opportunities for commerce, a greater degree of trade possibilities around the world with more and more well-meaning, balanced, strong free trade agreements in consultation with all of you, protecting Indian interests maximum to the maximum level, but still it has to be a two-way trade. We'll also give you a corruption-free government. And finally, we'll focus on inclusive growth so that every child born in India has a bright future ahead of him. That's our FICCI commitment to FICCI. Honorable Prime Minister, when he addressed your 93rd AGM 5 years ago, had said, and I quote, FICCI's centenary celebration isn't far away. You must increase your role in nation building and make it more comprehensive. Towards that end, I have 5 asks from you. सौदा तो दो तरफा ही होता है ना. First, audit your advocacy outcomes. Advocacy is an important role of any organization like yours. Speaking up for industry, being more demanding. I remember we have friends from the tire industry here for years. They were suffering for lack of policy initiatives from the government. But if you continue and you persevere, you get heard. Audit all your advocacy engagements and see where we stand. Also see whether it was really in national interest or were we swayed at times wrongly. It's possible. And I think if FICCI was to assess how many times your ideas got accepted, which are the ideas which got accepted, which did not, why they did not, maybe you may find some which need to be reiterated. Don't give up. There may have been some ideas that got lost along the way. But this exercise will help you in assessing your own role in the next century or coming years in a new way. It will revitalize your work to be the voice of industry. Second, please set bold targets. We need all of industry to be bigger and bolder. We can't rest on our laurels. We can't be satisfied with incremental growth. We need to be aspirational. We need to venture out of the ordinary. Let's be much more bolder. In fact, I've often said, and again at the cost of repetition, because I persevere and I'm sure I'll be successful. We need domestic capital. We need Indian money to get into the startup ecosystem. We need Indian money to get into innovation, R&D. We can't have a situation that all good ideas are sold out to foreign investment. We welcome foreign investment. But after the unicorn status is achieved, at the initial stages, we should have domestic capital. Leaving something on the table for the promoters also of that idea, or the startup entrepreneurs, or the visionaries of tomorrow. But be bold in your outlook and your ambition. Third, study the best-in-class facilitation models. How does Korea do it? How does Japan do it? How does Australia do it? How did Sweden do it? Which will also help you assess what more FICCI should be doing. Should we be looking at an outward foray through international operations? Can some of the senior leaders of the organization adopt? So Mr. X I've been advised by friends I shouldn't take names when I give a speech, otherwise I often give responsibility while I'm speaking. But can Mr. X, who has a plant in Italy, help us seed a FICCI representative office and trade promotion set up there, which will look at commerce, which will look at tourism, which will look at technology, which will look at investment, become a hub for FICCI in Italy because they already have an operation there. The small incremental investment, FICCI will rise over there. Look at facilitation processes around the world and what more FICCI can do. Can we emulate some good practices? No harm in learning. Fourth, all of us need to mentor our next gen leaders. While I'm really delighted when I see all these youngsters holding important positions, I still feel disappointed when I see that many of our next generation, no names taken again, is never to be seen in any engagement. Not necessarily FICCI, but any engagement other than weddings and parties. When will we see your next generation start attending FICCI AGMs and meetings? When will we see them getting together and coming up with a position paper with their modern outlook, their international thinking, with their education from the best of universities, engaging with society, engaging with your CSR activities, engaging with advocacy, policies, new generation policies? We need to see much more of that. And that's why we need to mentor these kids. Somebody must have mentored us who are sitting here, right? We need to take that to the next generation. And the same would go in tier 2 and tier 3 cities also. Can't be a Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata initiative alone. And lastly, can we drive our partner organizations around the country who are aligned with FICCI? You're a federation. Can we drive this to every district in the country? Can every MSME in remote areas also get good messages about quality consciousness, about sustainability, about formalizing their working? Can we bring export to the fore as not something which is, if you have an order you will export, but something you are really proactively working on? Because we find that a lot of businesses are so much in their comfort zone, happy cocoon of large domestic market, that they don't even bother to look outward. Many times, yesterday I met somebody who says, I keep often getting franchise interests, is in the food business, but I don't know where to start. What's the first step? Whom do I talk to? Government on its part will try its best, but will always have limitations. You can do much more with your span across the country. And if exports, compliances and formalization of the economy, feedback from the ground up, all of this is taken up on mission mode. FICCI and the activities of our apex chambers will not remain restricted to just the big picture or the big business, but will truly become an integral part of India at the core, India across the nation. As they say, comfort is the enemy of greatness. Let's make FICCI the uncomfortable leader who will power India towards Viksit Bharat. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, sir, for that very, very inspiring address. Your words energize us to think bigger, act bolder, and also collaborate deeper. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the closing remarks, I have the privilege in requesting Mr. Anand Goenka, President-elect FICCI.
Honorable Minister, friends, on behalf of FICCI and the entire industry, I extend our deepest gratitude for such an inspiring address today. Thank you for your warm words about FICCI. I think the voice of the father of the nation cannot be more relevant today, which has been echoed several times by our Prime Minister, of becoming Atmanirbhar. FICCI stands committed to playing its part with the government to advance Atmanirbharta and the Viksit Bharat agenda by scaling manufacturing, by investing in R&D, by creating high-quality jobs for the youth and promoting exports, the 4 areas that you suggested. I'd like to add, sir, that industry truly values your balanced approach to trade agreements as well. It promises greater market access, technology collaboration, opportunities across sectors like engineering, textiles, pharmaceuticals, and through these discussions, you have always put India first. This government has always filled us with pride, with confidence, with Atma Vishwas and Atma Samman, and it is on us now to act on the way forward that you have set forward for us. I'd like to also thank my colleagues at FICCI, members of the NECM, distinguished guests, and friends from the media for joining us today. Once again, thank you, sir, for your extremely inspiring address. We are truly grateful for your guidance, and we'll put in our best to take FICCI up to greater heights. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, sir. I would now request all our esteemed past presidents to kindly come up on the stage for a group photograph with the Honorable Minister, sir. And ladies and gentlemen, we thank everyone for joining us this morning, and we look forward to welcoming you to the final convention to be held on the 28th and 29th of November at Bharat Mandapam. And after that group photograph of all our esteemed past presidents with the Honorable Minister, sir, we once again take this opportunity to thank Honorable Minister, sir, for joining us, for gracing this very special occasion of the curtain raiser of the 98th AGM and Annual Convention of FICCI. The final convention will be held on 28th and 29th of November at Bharat Mandapam. Let's once again put our hands together to thank the Honorable Minister, sir. And we invite all our distinguished guests to kindly join us for lunch, which is being served outside in the lawns. Enjoy the warm hospitality of FICCI along with the warm winter sun. We hope you all enjoy your lunch and have a wonderful day ahead. Good afternoon, Namaskar, Jai Hind.